Hey there everybody, it's Vanessa here again, a motivational speaker and head coach at Live, Love, Give, and I am on a serious mission to help those of you who want more out of life to step up, to own who you really are, own what you really want, and have the courage and the confidence to go after it. And that's exactly why I want to bring this particular message to you guys today. Thanks for joining me, Jamie and Muritash. So it's all about, stop trying to prove yourself, stop trying to justify yourself, get on your path and you will become unshakable. And, that has definitely been my experience. And I want to share a bit of my story with you guys today in terms of where I came from and where I am right now and potentially, where I'm going. And so for me, I used to justify and trying to prove myself my whole life. Like ultimately, I was just trying to live to the expectations of those people around me. And I didn't know who I was and I didn't know what I wanted. And I didn't even know that I had the power to uncover that. And I was completely unconscious, completely oblivious and living life, based on the rules and expectations of those people that I loved and wanted the love of. But ultimately, we're allowing that to block me from my own truth. And it wasn't until I got some coaches in my corner who were able to see those blind spots and challenge me and get me to question and finally actually give myself permission to ask myself the question, what do I really want? And, and who am I really? And discover that. Just want to check in with you guys and say hi. Awesome to have you. Manolo, thank you for joining me again. Yvette, always love seeing you. And Moyne and Victoria, awesome. And Anatha, thank you so much for joining. And Eric, always my pleasure. I love you guys so much. I'm so appreciative that you guys are available and can jump on because I'm pretty random, as you guys know, with these Facebook Lives. But ultimately, this is a really special message from my heart. And, why I chose to sort of bring it to you guys today was just yesterday, I had an experience with somebody in my life who is kind of critical about what I do and really ultimately what I've discovered who I am. I'm so different to this person in my life. And I find myself to be quite an open-minded, accepting person. And I love diversity in people because I learn so much. And I'm so interested and fascinated to meet many different people with all different traits. I'm not just one-sided. And this particular person is quite a lot older and they don't get the world that we live in today. And so I get that and I don't take offense to it. But what my sort of pattern had been throughout my life with this person was to try and mold who I needed to be or kind of over justify myself or try and prove myself to this person. And ultimately, it just got worse, because it just brought out my insecurities and my sort of weaker side that they would see. And it just proved to them that I wasn't I wasn't on the right path and I didn't know what I was doing. And ultimately, they were right at that time. But what I've come to believe, and just yesterday, had a scenario happen with this person and they were hypercritical about something. And another person in that scenario got really offended on my behalf. But I just, and afterwards they said, they said this and this and this. And I was like, oh, I really don't care. I really don't mind because I'm on my path and I actually get that they don't get it and that's not going to shake me. And it's a message that I have had to learn the hard way and that's why I wanted to bring it to you guys today. Where in your life are you just trying to prove yourself, or there's somebody in your life, or you're just so uncertain that every time you get around people and you explain what you do or who you are or what you're into, you feel like you're constantly trying to prove yourself or justify yourself and you feel uncomfortable. You start babbling your words, whatever it happens for you. I want you to think about that and what's happening for you in that moment is ultimately you're uncertain within yourself. And so when we're uncertain within ourselves, we're trying to seek that certainty, that validation, that clarification in our external world. But ultimately, only you know deep down what your path is. There's people in this world who can help and support and guide you. And those people in your life who just don't get it, use that to your advantage. What is the challenge here? What is the lesson here that's going to help me to recognize, hey, I'm a bit on shaky ground right now. How can I get more clear? How can I get more focused? How can I get more committed to myself and what I want to do? And there's so much value in that. And again, just want to check in with you guys because I start going off, don't I? But yes, Steve, lovely to have you, and Sabri and Nathan and Hyungal, and lovely to see you, and Maribel, so nice to see you again, and my dear friend Elf, so lovely to see you. Natalie, thank you for joining, and Victoria, oh, you totally have had that happen, yes. Haven't we all? You know, we've all been there where we've been so uncertain with ourselves, and you might be there right now. You might be sort of trying to make things happen and you're just a bit uncertain. I spoke to a brilliant woman this morning, and she wants to serve a higher purpose, serve a higher mission, and she has, overcome some serious challenges in her life, and she's got this beautiful vision, but she's uncertain about the path, and she's unclear, and it's holding her back enormously in terms of moving forward and getting past your own insecurities and fears and getting attached to a higher purpose, something bigger than just yourself, and really giving back. And that's ultimately when you start tapping into that, when you move away from just your own sort of subjective experience and you start transforming that in terms of, if I don't walk my path, who out there suffers because of that, because of my own insecurities, because of my own fears. And, when you start getting attached to something more than just yourself, you get out of your fears, you start having a whole bunch more certainty within yourself, you get clear on your path, and you definitely become unshakable, even with those people closest to you who just don't get it. You start seeing their perspective and you start not taking it personally. You don't identify with it anymore. And thank you so much for joining, Jason. I love that you love these feeds. Keep coming back, and I love that it's valuable to you. So thank you so much. And Michael, lovely to have you. And guys, let me know, do you guys have some questions? Do you guys have some areas right now where you're lacking that that certainty and you don't really know how to break through? And maybe you want some clarity about who you are. Like, what is going on for you guys right now that I could potentially help just give you a fresh perspective on, or a little bit of guidance here. And guys, if you don't have anything, you don't want to share it out here, remember I do offer those 15-minute power sessions where I jump on a call with you and we talk about your current challenge right here, right now, and I see how I can best support and serve you. And awesome to have you, Renee. Thank you so much for joining from Belgium. That's awesome. And Shane, awesome. Thank you so much for joining me live. I love it when you guys join me live because this is my interaction with you guys. And Dan, awesome for thank you so much for joining. Love to have you here. And so guys, that's my message. Is it resonating with you? Yes, power. Love it. Is it resonating with you to stop trying to prove yourself? Stop with the justification. Just own who you are. Own what you want and just go for it. Seriously. If those people in your life, they just don't get it and they're questioning you and they're criticizing you. And, one that I always used to get when I started this transition and journey into my own business, getting online and doing my own thing, was, my family just didn't get it. They're like, well, how do you make money doing that? And when are you going to get a real job? And all that sort of stuff. And, I used to have to pull myself away from their environment because ultimately I wasn't certain enough within myself to be able to handle all of their concerns and challenges and try and give them all this reassurance, because ultimately it was saying to myself, hey, just own what you're doing. You don't need to prove or justify anything. Just walk your path and do it with love. And, it's taken me, we have to go through these experiences in order to grow, in order to get to the places that we're at. And I know that I've got so much more growth to do, and I'm on that journey, and I can't wait, and I welcome those challenging people into my life because they shine light on my insecurities that I'm unaware of. They shine light onto those parts of me that I'm leaving in the dark, but ultimately they're my biggest source of growth. So find the value in those challenging people or circumstances. So much power there. And just want to check in again with you guys, and glad to hear it, Eric. Thank you so much. I always absolutely love seeing you pop up on my feed here. And yes, Victoria, you definitely need clarity. I know we've got a call booked in, so I cannot wait to meet you and really help you get that certainty, that clarity, because clarity is definitely power. When we get clear, like ultimately, when I made the decision to leave an unfulfilling career path, I quit law school because I just did not see myself as a lawyer, but I loved learning, and I had no idea who I was and what I wanted to do. And I felt like, okay, I'll do law because that'll open up a few doors, I guess. And coming from a highly academic family, you can see how I got there. But ultimately, when I finally got that clarity, I had never in my life had that much certainty in myself, and I didn't even know what that next path was for me. All I knew at that point was that I knew for certain I was not to become a lawyer. And I didn't have any idea exactly what I was going to do outside of that. But because I had so much clarity and certainty, and because for the first time in my life, I had listened to myself, I'd given myself permission to make my own decisions, I was so believing in myself that I didn't care that I didn't have the answer yet. I just trusted within myself that I would find it. And that's what you need to start generating within yourself, is that trust in yourself that you can handle it. It'll all work out. Trust and believe that everything in your life serves you. There's a purpose for it, and you'll find a way. It'll always work out. And if you look back in your life and you see those challenging times that you've overcome, you've learned lessons, you've become more resilient, you can believe in yourself more, you can, move forward and grow. So never be in fear and doubt if you don't currently have the answers. Just take that first step and join that journey towards higher clarity. So thank you so much. And Brian, love that you're getting some value from this. I know, Victoria, I'm seriously excited to get to meet you. I can't wait. And how can one cut through mind fog to reach clarity? So mind fog to reach clarity, there's different versions of mind fog, but I was speaking to another person this morning in terms of, so many of us, we get so caught in the how-tos. So we've got this great thing that we want to achieve, and then we get clear on, okay, I want this, but then we go straight to the how-tos. And then we get totally overwhelmed because there's so many how-tos that our brain gets totally fogged, like what you're talking about there, Brian. And we need a filtering process. So that's what I love working with people to do, is create a filtering process so that, you're not just totally overwhelmed by all the possibilities and options out there, because you just have to jump on Google and you'll get 10 million different answers to the one question, right? So it's no wonder that we get this brain fog and this overwhelm and lack of clarity, because we've got too much going on and we don't have the filtering process to help us narrow it down and go for it. And there is so much energy to be unleashed when you get that filtering process underway, and you can filter through in terms of who you are, what you want, and without filtering it through the rest of the world, without filtering it through society, the people that you care about, or your own shoulds and expectations, chucking that out the door and having a clear path to uncover exactly who you really are, exactly what you really want, and start generating that confidence and that courage to go for it, because you're going to have a filtering process to minimize that brain fog and ultimately have the clarity. And like I said earlier, clarity is power. It's also where all of your energy lies. So I hope that was helpful to you, Brian. Thank you so much for the question. Lovely to have you, Judy and Andy and Shane. When we get clear, When you get clear on what you want and focus on it daily with clarity and certainty, and you just know that you know deep inside no one can stop you, your brain will find a way. I totally 110% agree with that, Shane, because that's been my experience. And I tell you what, I really don't think that there is any greater sense of freedom than the freedom that comes when you get certainty and trust within yourself. And I really believe that, there's so many of us and we're seeking that purpose, that thing outside of ourselves. But ultimately, our clarity and our certainty will come from within. Maybe those external things will help trigger us to identify who we are and what we want. But ultimately, when you just build that certainty within yourself that you can handle the uncertainty of the world, then you have so much power, you have so much energy, and you are completely unstoppable when you get on that path. Because, I knew when I quit law school that I knew the repercussions. I knew that, my family they did actually disown me for a period of time. They completely cut me off in all ways. And I didn't take offense to it even at that point, because I was so certain within myself. And when you become so certain within yourself, you can see the fears of others for what they are, and you don't have to take them personally. And ultimately, my family all came around, and we have better relationships now than we did back then. And ultimately, we couldn't really have the connection and the depth that we have now had I not stepped up and owned who I was and what I wanted to do and just gone for it. Dr. John Demartini, who I always talk about, I've heard him talk into this pretty deep concept, which is that we are born into our families in order to teach our families unconditional love. And I like to sometimes think of myself as a bit of the black sheep in the family, doing all this stuff that my family have no idea about, and they don't really get it, but they didn't get it for a period of time, but they've come around. And most of them, except for this one person who I started out on this Facebook Live talking about, and I don't really care. I love that my family is so supportive and so into what I do now. And they don't all have to be. That doesn't worry me, because I'm so certain. And that's the gift that we can give to our families, is proving to them, I don't want to use the word proving, because this is all about not proving and not justifying, but ultimately showing them unconditional love. So showing them that, the things that they're fearful of, they can find in the person that they love so much. And I really like that way of thinking about things that Dr. John Demartini talks into. It's an interesting concept. I just like thinking about weird stuff like that. I hope it's valuable. And Maritesh tells me investment business ideas. I think maybe not in this one, Maritesh, but when we get on our call, I'll have a chat to you about any questions that you have then. And Omar, if everything seems under control, it means you are not driving fast enough. I like that. I think I like that, because I like to keep moving and keep challenging yourself. And, I really do believe that when life is cushy, what are we doing? If it's too cushy, you're in the middle of that comfort zone, and you got to start edging your way out to that outer layer of that comfort zone. Not so much that you're totally overwhelmed and in fear and you can't move forward, but just keep edging it forward. So I like that. I like that comment. Thank you for sharing, Omar. And Fazia, awesome to have you. And of course, my friend Thoreen, I love having you here. And Eric, as Tony says, believe in yourself and go for it. Yes, totally. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right, by Henry Ford. One of my absolute favorite quotes that I absolutely have to live by each and every day, because it ultimately does come down to self-belief. If you don't have that certainty within yourself that you will figure it out, you will handle it, and you don't have to have all of the answers, if you don't have that, you're not going to move forward. So yes, thank you so much for that comment, Eric. I love that. And thank you for saying hi, Fazia. Awesome as always to have you here. And guys, do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? Anything about fears? What are you currently struggling with? How could I better support you guys? Ultimately, each and every day I want to jump on these Facebook Lives. I write a message out to you guys, and ultimately I'm just trying to help and support the best way that I can. But if you guys have any feedback for me in terms of, you know, topics that you really want me to talk into, or better ways that I could be delivering this content for you, I'd absolutely love to hear from you, because I welcome your feedback. I'm doing this stuff for you guys out there, so let me know how I could improve, how I could make it better, and I'd love that. And yeah, so that was my message to you guys today, talking into all about, you know, trying to prove yourself, stop trying to justify yourself, step in and own your truth. Even if you're unclear about the direction right now, start working on your sense of self-belief that you can handle it and that it'll all work out, and you'll find the answers as you start building into that action. And, you know, and feeding off my Facebook Live from yesterday, you know, remember, it's that inaction that breeds that fear and doubt, and that's when you start proving and justifying and you don't feel good within yourself. And it's that taking action, just that first step, just go for it, just take one more step today, you know, that ultimately breeds that confidence and that courage. And that's where you get to a place of certainty, a place of clarity, and that's where you don't have to, you know, get into that realm of proof and justification. And Magdalena, thank you so much. What are you saying? Vanessa, you inspire me every day. I hate my job and listening to you motivates me to create. Oh, Magdalena, that is such a, you know, a heartwarming comment for me to hear. I really appreciate you making that comment, and I'm so grateful that these messages are touching you and helping you. So thank you so much. You know, you are the reason why I do what I do. You guys out there, you know, who show up each day, and you know, you're looking to improve your lives. You're looking to own it, take responsibility for where your life is at, move forward and trust that you can do it, and seek positivity in your life. There is no greater advice that I've ever been given than to stop watching the news, you know, stop filling your mind up with all the negativity, and actually surround yourself with positivity, you know, great messages of inspiration, and you know, podcasts and books, and we have access to so much. So yeah, I'm grateful that this has helped you. Thank you so much for sharing that. You've made my day. And awesome, Andy. I'm grateful that you're feeling more motivated. That's awesome. And Victoria, maybe a topic could be cause of laziness or lack of motivation. Oh, yeah, I should do a whole total. I'll do definitely a Facebook Live on that. I feel like I want to take off on that right now. Let me just say something little, because I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Victoria. And I really believe, you know, that laziness and that lack of motivation, it's when you're not living in your values. So ultimately, I really believe that people aren't lazy. They just don't know what their values are, and they're not living in them. They don't know who they are and what they really want. Ultimately, that's it. That's laziness. They're forcing themselves, or trying to force themselves to do something they hate. They're in an unfulfilling career path. They're in a relationship that they're just not even fulfilled by. You know, they don't have anything compelling in their future. They're not really creating anything in their life that inspires them. And ultimately, that's why they're lazy. You know, how hard is it to motivate yourself to do something? That's why, you know, that motivation piece, it's like, you know, nobody has to motivate you to get up in the morning and live in your values. They just don't have to. You don't need motivation when you know who you are and you know what you want and you're on track and you're going for it. You're so energized. Somebody has to drag you to bed at night, you know, to get you to just take it easy. So laziness, that's a bit of my belief, and I think I'll definitely do a topic based on that for you, Victoria. I love that idea. Thank you so much for sharing it. And Robbie, what if your spouse doesn't support you while you are trying to find your truth? I feel it is causing more stress. Wow, you guys are awesome. I love your questions because they're so intelligent and they're so on point. So thank you for sharing that question, Robbie. And it's a valuable question, because so many struggle with this. You know, we're in these relationships, and you know, ultimately alignment is everything in relationship. If you don't have an alignment and you're going in your separate paths, you end up drifting, you know. And if you don't ever want to, I don't believe in ever compromising. I believe in adjusting your values if you need to, but making sure that you're in alignment with this person. And if you do end up going separate ways and you don't want to compromise your truth, never, ever compromise your truth as a human being in order to stay in a relationship. You know, you'll never be satisfied. They'll never be happy. If you're not happy, they're not happy. But ultimately, in terms of whether or not they support you or not, sometimes our partners get threatened by our changes. And you've got to see it for what it is. Sometimes it's just their own fears. And if you take it personally, and you make it all about you, like, oh, you're preventing me from doing this or stopping me from doing this, or why can't you just be like this? You're creating stress in there as well, and you're fighting fear with fear. So the best thing that I would say there, Robbie, is you've got to be a leader, and you've got to ensure that you don't allow your partner to make you compromise on your own truth. Because guaranteed, and particularly, you know, I would say for men and women, but particularly if you lose your truth as a man in a relationship, you've lost the relationship. You're only going to invite more and more stress and challenge from your partner because they're feeling unsafe, because they know you've lost your masculine core, and they're going to test you. They're going to test you a whole lot more. So look at this, Robbie, right now as your partner testing you to see, hey, do you still love me? Are you changing too much? Are you going to forget about me? Just reassure her or him that, you know, that you do love them, that you want to grow, and it's for the sake of your relationship that you go on this journey of self-discovery, and encourage them to do the same, but never have the expectation that they're going to grow in the same way as you. You're only going to create more stress. And if you'd like to talk deeper into that so I can get a bit more of the background there, Robbie, I'd love to jump on a call with you. So I'll drop a link and make sure that you book in a 15-minute power session with me, and I'll see how I can best support you through that, because ultimately, my true belief is that our relationships can be the biggest source of personal growth. And I so believe in the power of having that person in your corner. If you guys can learn to love each other and support each other and encourage each other and challenge each other to be your best, you know, there is so much beauty in relationships. So I'd love nothing more than to help and support you on that, Robbie. So make sure, I hope that was of value, and make sure if it was that you book in a session, we'll connect. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much, Robbie. And Jeremy, my friend, I love having you here. You know that. And Manu, nice to have you. And Nelson, love it. Thanks for joining me. And Victoria, it's become a habit for me. Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that, definitely. And oh, that's great. I'm glad that we're in sync here. Thank you so much. And Shane, fear is like a glass of water. If you hold on to it for a bit, it's not that heavy, but the longer you hold on to it, the glass is heavier and it gets, and the hurt and pain sets in and will paralyze us. So we need to just sometimes set the glass down. Yes. Love that comment, Shane. Thank you so much for sharing it. I love how interactive you guys are being, and I love when I see how like-minded we are. It energizes me, it inspires me, and yes, I love that comment. It's such a good analogy to think about, you know, that fear in itself, just one little fear, you know, it might not be a huge setback, but you keep holding on to it, you keep, you know, suppressing that, it starts to stack, you know, and starts to really weigh us down. So we need ways of addressing those fears and breaking through and identifying them, because so many of our fears are in the subconscious, and we need a process of accessing that. So if that's something that is of interest to you, you want to know how to uncover and really get out those subconscious limiting beliefs that you don't even know are holding you back. That's ultimately where self-sabotage comes from. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, again, make sure you book in a 15-minute power session with me. I'd love to meet you. And Gerald, nice to have you. And Crystal, I love having you here again. Thank you so much. And Jazz, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back again. And wow, Eric, thank you so much for your beautiful comments. You light me up every day. I truly appreciate you. And great, Jazz. I'm happy to see you too. And Fazio, each one must motivate his own person. Don't wait motivation from others. You'll be disappointed. true. And that's that whole point again on, you know, stopping seeking the validation, the motivation, whatever it is from those external sources. Ultimately, you want inspiration from within. And it comes from within. Maybe something new comes from the external that triggers that inspiration, but ultimately you're only going to be motivated to do something else that somebody else tells you to do for a short period of time, unless it is aligned with who you really are and what you really want. So might as well start the journey of uncovering who that is and what that is, so that you can ultimately really build momentum and stop the starting and the stopping. That's what the cycle that we get into when we're looking and seeking the answers in the external. So I hope that was valuable. And it's so nice to see you, Sarah. Thank you for joining me. And guys, again, I have no idea how long this has gone for. It's probably my longest ever. I don't know, but as long as you guys are finding it valuable, and if you have any last questions or comments or, you know, feedback or suggestions for me, I'd love to hear from you all. So definitely pop them in. But ultimately, guys, you know, I really hope that this message has resonated with you. I hope that you're looking seriously and you're owning, where am I trying to prove myself? Where am I trying to justify myself right now in my life? And how is that holding me back? And why is now the time to step forward and own it? You know, even if I don't have the answers, what is that next step? And I'd love to help you discover that next step. If you are uncertain, you want a little bit of help, that's what I'm here to do. So jump on a 15-minute power session with me, and we'll get to connect and meet, and it'll be fun. And yes, thank you so much, Robbie. I appreciate you. And Sarah, who I am drives the path instead of validation from others. Yes, exactly. I love that. And Victoria, do I do any events? Yes, I do. I've gone back online for a period of time at the moment, but I do have some live upcoming events. So if that is of interest to you guys, and I do also, you can get me to come to wherever you are in terms of workplaces, in terms of communities, groups, all that stuff. I come to you as well. So I do a bit of that. So if that's something that interests you, definitely contact my team there, and I'd love to get to actually meet you guys in the flesh. And Eric, I'm all red now. Vanessa, I do appreciate you too. Thank you so much. I love you guys so much. You light my days up, and I'm so appreciative to all of you who join me, who interact with me. I'm appreciative for all of your awesome questions and the messages that I've received from you guys. Have truly, you guys just light me up so much. You energize me, you give me so much strength, and you let me know I'm on the right path, and you give me even more certainty that comes from within. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate all of you, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. So hope you guys can join me, and sending so much love, light, gratitude, and all my positivity and my energy to you guys. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye for now.